Hello, hello, hello. Let me put myself on the big screen. Here we go. I'm back for another Friday night feature. And tonight we are going to be talking about the excitement levels heading into WrestleMania 41, as we are only, a couple of weekends away from the shows, the grandest stage of them all, the granddaddy WrestleMania. Is going to be coming live from Las Vegas in just a few short weeks. And it doesn't feel like it. There's a few feuds that are starting to heat up. The superstars are, of course, over in the UK at the moment. SmackDown is going to be coming live from the O2 in London, and then I believe they're also there on Monday night as well for Raw. So make sure you are sort of tuning in over the next few videos. You'll have Dan, of course, will be making the most of being live for a Monday Night Raw at a decent time, emanating from the UK. So it's interesting that they seem to be doing this thing, WWE, where they'll put on live because it's on Netflix for Raw, but because the SmackDown side of things isn't on Netflix yet, they have that delayed start, which I think is at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, a little bit of an interesting one that it's not live. So we in the UK get to see it ahead of time. It's on live on Netflix. So we're gonna have a bit of a chat about it. I'll have it on in the background, so I'll keep you updated as we have seen in the comments. Our moderator Mark has also said that Cody Rhodes has been confirmed that he is going to be opening the show tonight. So it'd be interesting to see what Cody has to say, especially as John Cena isn't scheduled to be there tonight. We'll see if he does turn up for any reason. Let's see what happens. A couple of other comments there from Mark, who's been keeping us up to date on all the sort of rumors and the news. Ken Shamrock's name's been banded around for this year's WWE Hall of Fame class, which is shaping up to be very, very good indeed. Of course, there is the headline, which is Triple H. And I enjoy the natural disasters have been added to that as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to watch. Lots of sort of griping going on social media about the prices. I saw the prices for Hall of Fame, and obviously normally it's been included, well, the last few years anyway, it's been included. If you go to SmackDown, you can just stay in your seat and watch the Hall of Fame. This time it's coming from one of the hotels, so one of the little arenas they have in the hotels, and they're charging, I think it's about $200 for the Hall of Fame. Let me know what you think about that. Would you pay $200 to see the Hall of Fame ceremony? Bearing in mind, obviously, when it sort of starts, is it's a lot of wrestling to go through over that weekend, and you need to kind of pace yourself. If you have any plans to go to WrestleMania, let me know. I'm not going this year. No one from Wrestling Royalty or Gimme a Hoya will be there, but anyone who is going, I hope you have a fantastic time. We've got Sam is making his apologies. He's not here tonight. He is going to be watching with his wife. His wife is interested. This is the thing, right, at the moment. WWE is suddenly back in the sort of mainstream, and I think that's exactly what they were hoping for when Netflix kind of came around the scene. I've got people asking me questions about it who've said that they haven't watched it in years. I've got people who are now sort of new fans checking it out. I'm sure you guys have also experienced that. If you're watching this, then you'll be very interested in what's been going on in WWE, and you've probably got people who are reaching out to you saying, what's the crack with this, or asking you if you're still watching wrestling. So it's a good sort of fun time to be a fan, and there's probably more people to talk to as well. So let's have a look. We've also got Dan in who says, hey, hello, my friend. Thank you for joining us again. It's always good to have you in, buddy. What time is SmackDown? It's on at 8 o'clock, so in the UK. So it will be starting in approximately 8 minutes' time. I'll have it on in the background. We're not going to do like a full live stream of it, but I was keen to kind of get on now. We can sort of discuss anything major that happens because it is in the O2. And yeah, I'm not one of the originals, so I don't have the sort of staying power of 3 hours worth of a live stream like Dan and Sam have done previously. But we will have it on. We'll be talking about at least a sort of half an hour or so of the opening, which looks like it's going to be Cody Rhodes, and then I believe they've also got the is it pretty? Who's the the tag team titles are on the line tonight as well, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of reception that Pretty Deadly get. And Dan, yeah, unfortunately, Dan isn't going live, so Dan will be back on Monday though for Raw. But Dan's even sent his apologies and said he's stuck at work, otherwise he would be joining me. But yes, don't worry about that. I will keep you posted on everything that's going on for the first sections of SmackDown. But we'll also, along the way, we're going to have a chat about your excitement levels for WrestleMania. I'll throw up a little bit of this because you don't want to just see my face. You need some nice visuals to go on as well. But yeah, if you want to kind of have it on the background while I'm talking, feel free to get Netflix booted up and ready. 7-ish, 6 minutes to go, and we'll have a chat from there. We've got a couple of other people coming in as well. Hello, Mr. Khan. Very good to have you in. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you're good. Hope you're having a good start to your weekend as well. As we're only going to do sort of like the half an hour, 40 minutes. You know, you guys tell me how long you want me to be on for. We'll kind of have a bit of a chat about the WrestleMania excitement levels and the start to SmackDown as well. But let's get into it. Let's have a look just while we're waiting for SmackDown to start. Of course, if you're not already following these channels, make sure you are. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on Wrestling Royalty, on Give Me a Whole Yeah. And then if you're not too up to date on what these bottom ones are, you've got WrestleSphere, which is that lovely looking logo on the right, which is the square. That is where you can read a lot of different interviews with different superstars, whether it be AEW, TNA, or WWE. Lots of features on there. One of the newest features is on WrestleSphere is a bit of a feature on the video game history as well. So make sure that you check out the feature that has just gone up on WrestleSphere about video games. And let me know in the comments, what's your favorite video game for WWE, or even just maybe it's the AEW one they released, or TNA. I know they've had a couple out as well. What's your favorite wrestling video game? And are you enjoying 2K25 are you on now? Let me know all that in the comments. Let's turn this into a bit of a conversation. Hassan's in as well. Good to have you in, my friend. I will be keeping up to date on SmackDown when it starts in about 5 minutes' time. So Dan's going to kick us off here. And says, I'm excited for Mania. I think it has had a poor bill compared to last year, which is a shame. A little bit, we'll go into it. Seth versus CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, who've got winning. We'll go into that. I'll let you sort of know, and let me know who you think as well, though. So Dan's been in touch and says, for me, Punk will win. I think he is the one that would benefit the most with Cena winning the title from Cody. They can plant the seed for Punk versus Cena at the end of the year. Heel done for says Raw 2 on the original Xbox. That's going back a little way. I love that. Roman is at London tonight for SmackDown. Yes, I believe one of the parts of SmackDown tonight is going to be the contract signing between Roman, Seth, and CM Punk as well. So you can see that on SmackDown tonight. Mark is saying the No Mercy game. That is a very popular one that people go for quite a lot. I'm a bit partial to Here Comes the Pain, or SmackDown 2 was very good as well. I loved playing it. It was sort of more the PS2 era. I thought they sort of started to kick on a little bit with the video games for wrestling. So what we're going to talk about first, we've got about 4 minutes before SmackDown starts. So let's go into it. Let's start big. We're going to go up against we're going to have a bit of a chat about Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Is it living up to your expectations? Once John Cena won that Elimination Chamber, what do we reckon? It's an interesting one for me. I think it was the correct matchup to have. And John Cena's kind of heel turns. I thought the first promo was really solid. I thought the second one that we just saw this week was too much of the same. Now, if the reports are to be believed, he's going to be there on Monday night. And then after that, he won't be there until Mania, which is only about 2 weeks. It's not a massive thing. They could record some backstage stuff. They could record like a recorded interview. But I think we need to see some sort of physicality. We need to understand what The Rock's role in this is, why John Cena did what he did in terms of align with The Rock because of their history as well. So I kind of feel in that sense, there's a lot of unanswered questions, but hey, that's what John Cena's talking about. We don't deserve anything. We don't get anything. He just does what he wants to do. I'm excited to see which way they go with this, because I think if they're brave, John Cena walks out with the title on the headlining on the second night of WrestleMania. I'd love to see it. I think he deserves to beat that record. I think as a massive John Cena fan throughout his entire career, I'd love to see him be the one that kind of is right at the top, the top upper echelon. So for me, I think it would be great to see him win. I just want to see a little bit more on Monday, if that is to be the last one. I want to see a little bit of physicality, just take it up a little bit of a level. Will we get a straight one-on-one match between these two at WrestleMania, or are we going to get a little bit of a are we going to get interference? Are we going to get some sort of stipulation? Are we going to get something? Are we going to get a gimmick match? Because if they're going to close the show, I don't want them to kind of overbook it as much as they did last year. I loved the overbooking last year. I'm not critical of it at all. It was absolutely perfect. But what I would like to see is a little bit more substance that they can get their teeth into, because John Cena's, winding down his career. Cody's at the top of his game, but can these guys go 20 minutes in a straight one-on-one match, without too much interference? I doubt it, but let's see what happens. It would be kind of interesting to see if The Rock maybe puts a stipulation in and kind of stacks the deck against Cody. I think it's all kind of born out of making sure Cody is a white-hot babyface, and then make sure John Cena's got something to sink his teeth in for the last few months of his WWE career. I'm sure he'll pop in and out at some point, but not wearing the shorts, the jorts or anything like that. So, yeah, I'm really interested to see this one. I just want that little bit more. Just give us something extra just to kind of push it over the edge on Monday in London. I just want to see Cody coming out, all guns blazing. I want to see John Cena cut one of his promos on Cody rather than on the crowd as well. Mark said, I heard Rick's going to Mania. He did say on his Instagram, Ric Flair is saying he's heading to Las Vegas for WrestleMania. What happens? Dan says, what if we get a double token, Cody and Cena? Double token? I feel like I've missed something. Daniel says, I think Cena wins, and then after Cody turns heel and costs Cena the title down the line. Oh, double turn. Interesting. Dean is in. He says, can't believe that he did Cena turning heel for this level quality of heel. Yeah, he's been a bit whiny so far. I want to see him just be absolutely ruthless. Mark, I think you're right. I think his double turn, I think, was probably that. He's busy working away his war down. Dean says, if I talk really slow and talk about you people, that means I'm bad. Yeah, he does have a tendency. He's kind of changed up his cadence, hasn't he, during his promos. So I'm not against it, but if you're not going to be around for those last couple of weeks, it kind of feels like you've got to speed things up this week. So it'll be interesting to see. I'll reserve judgment until we see what happens on Monday instead as well. So, yeah, but let me know. Dean, are you excited for Cody versus John Cena? Matthew Rodriguez is in. How are you doing, man? Do you think Mariah May is joining WWE? The fans have gone crazy over old tweets about Mariah and WWE, and if WWE signs her for NXT. There is these rumors that apparently she's in her contract year with AEW, as in she's up for renewal or kind of getting a new contract. The pictures that have been put out is of her attending WrestleMania, I believe in Texas, wasn't it, a few years ago? I don't know, is the honest answer. I'm not an insider. I would hazard a guess that WWE would put some sort of package together to offer it. But I think the way that the women's roster is in AEW, it would be very strange if they didn't go above and beyond to keep her in. She's had a couple of great matches against Toni Storm. The way that she's developed has all happened at AEW. So it would be a bit surprising. I don't know, that terminology people say about moving the needle, whether that would happen for WWE. But I also think Mariah May, if she looked at it from the perspective of, does she want to join the best, as they keep saying, women's roster, which is NXT, she could do that. And she would be a bit more polished, so potential to go straight onto the main roster. But looking at people like Jordan Grace and Stephanie Vaquer, who's gone on to NXT, I think she would probably go to NXT first if she were to. But yeah, I think it'd be strange if WWE didn't offer it. It would be even more strange if AEW don't outbid them as well. So that's my sort of thoughts on Mariah May, if that makes sense. Mark says, John Cena heel turn with Jacob Toretto, Fast and Furious reference. Yeah, I feel like The Rock and John Cena are going to be together on the newest one that's coming out soon. I'm pretty sure anyway. We've got SmackDown is starting, so if you do have it on in the background, I'll keep you updated. If you don't have it on as well, I'll do a sort of commentary as we're dipping in and out the different things that are going on. Dean says, I would have been more excited had it been face versus face, as I was ready for Cena's character journey. Now I'm more invested in Punk's arc. Okay. Before we get into that one, though, let's have a bit of a chat about one of the Royal Rumble winners, and Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble, choosing to go against Gunther. Gunther kind of playing it down so far. I'm really interested to see how people are responding to this. Now we've seen on Monday that they're going down this whole route of he's making errors, he's slipping, he's kind of like stumbling over, and maybe it's a bit of nerves creeping in, a bit of doubt about who he is and can he actually win the big one. He hasn't beat Gunther in the 3 matches that he's had. So that's the kind of story they've gone down, which I think is a very interesting one. And it needed something to change because I think just a straight match, people wouldn't have been that bothered. So I'm glad they've given it a bit of story. We're going to see Jimmy as well taking on Gunther, I think on Monday in London in the O2 as well as on SmackDown right now, which is also in the O2. It's Cody Rhodes is coming out, tracksuit and title is currently in hand as well. He's in his tracksuit rather than a suit, so he looks like he sort of could be ready to go at any point. Lots of pyro and the fans are going crazy as well. But yes, we talk about Jey versus Gunther. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are on whether this can get anywhere close to the main event in the first night, or is that an absolute given is going to go to that triple threat match that we'll see a contract signing for tonight. I kind of feel like Gunther throughout his career has always managed to get a great match out, but the comments I've made in the past, Jey Uso still needs a little bit more in terms of his moveset. He even kind of addressed that this week and said in some interviews that there are better wrestlers than him, and he understands that. But he's where he is for a reason, and that's because the crowd kind of responds to him, as well as being solid in the ring. And it's hard to argue against that because there are some guys who can and do have a lot more in their sort of arsenal and background as wrestlers, but at the same point, they are lacking that sort of interaction with the crowd. It's just not quite gone that way, whereas he has. So, yeah, really interesting to see how they heat this up over the next couple of weeks, because it feels like they've had to introduce Jimmy again to try and help out, which is probably a little bit worrisome for Jey. But the way they're kind of going, it does feel like Jey Uso might walk out of WrestleMania with the title and prove people wrong. For me, this build-up between Jey and Gunther has fell off a cliff, says Mark. Absolutely. We're just seeing the WrestleMania graphic for John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, and they've finally actually got like a proper graphic rather than the one of John Cena where it was sort of crudely taken from his heel turn at Elimination Chamber. So it's cool they've actually got one face-off, etc. Let's move on, as Cody is currently kissing the ring and getting ready to cut a promo, no doubt, on John Cena and the British crowd. The European crowds, by the way, they're probably going to have to do this every year now, because the European crowds really do push this on a bit more than the American crowds have. They're always up for it, probably because they've been starved of WWE coming to their country for live events for a while, as in like TV tapings rather than just these sort of live tours that they do. The crowd is very loud for Cody Rhodes as well, and he's drinking it all in at the moment. So let's talk about the triple threat match that I think is going to happen. Obviously on the... Sorry, I was just seeing Dan's comment there. Mark Shunock is the new SmackDown ring announcer. Yeah, apparently he is previously like a house announcer for, I believe, the Las Vegas teams. So interesting to see how he gets on. As Lillian Garcia, I believe, has moved on to just doing Saturday night main events, and she'll be moving into that instead. Mike Rome's on NXT. But yeah, on Raw, we're scheduled to have a women's championship match between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, and then the winner will go on to face Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. Bianca Belair is now the special guest referee. I fully expect it just to sort of devolve into a no contest, and it'll end up a triple threat match between the three of them. It would be very odd to put them all together in the build-up to WrestleMania, and then one just drops out, because they would drop out into nothing, absolutely nothing. So it'd be very strange for there to be an outright winner, and Mark seems to agree as well, saying I don't think there will be a winner on Raw. I just don't see how you can drop one of these. Io has been getting great receptions, and I think we've been waiting to see Bianca versus Rhea for a little while now, but they're still holding that back. That one-on-one match is still being held back, and it's going to be, I believe, a triple threat at WrestleMania, which will be a great match because it's three very different styles, really different, and I think they'll work really well together. This sort of got the potential to be, a night stealer if they are given plenty of time, and I believe they will do at WrestleMania. I said in the description about there being a little bit of are some of the sort of sleeper lower down the card matches actually the ones that are heating up really nicely. I think Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton is included in that bracket because they've built up Kevin Owens over the last few months in terms of his storyline with Cody, in terms of with Sammy. I do feel bad for Sammy because I don't really see where he fits into WrestleMania unless he comes back and just kind of makes an appearance. But I do believe he should have been on a little bit more he should have had some say in a WrestleMania match. And obviously he still could be included, but it's looking a bit doubtful. We're just a few weeks out. But Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, obviously Randy was out of action because of what Kevin Owens did to him with his pile driver. And then now they're having these sort of like these verbals saying, I actually was sorry for what I did to you, and you didn't kind of maybe deserve it. Can we bury the hatchet? And Randy's actually just says, not at all. I'm just going to kick your head off your shoulders at WrestleMania. So here we are. I think, again, two very capable wrestlers, two massive superstars. They'll put on a great match. This is one of those ones where you could just put them together, give them 10 15 minutes, and they'll tear the house down. The crowd love both of these guys. The European crowds in particular, the way they've been responding to Randy's entrance music, I think it's something that he'll really sort of cherish in this twilight stage of his career. He's still in great shape though, and they're telling some fantastic stories out between the two of them. Speak of the devil, and he will appear. Randy Orton has just come out in what looks like he's ready to have a match, but he's just come out and interrupted Cody. So out comes Randy Orton looking deep in thought. So we'll see what he is going to do. So let me know, Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. Is that something that you are interested in? Do you think it's WrestleMania worthy? Do you think they can put on a great match? Or is the answer yes and no to a lot of those different questions? Let me know. Which brings us a triple threat match. Just before we go on though, Norma's in. Hello. And he says, just not much traction developing for Jay versus Gunther. Not much storyline. Gunther losing to Jay would almost be a blemish on his career, in my opinion. I do tend to agree. They've let Gunther kind of build up these massive winning streaks, and he's in these title reigns. And if Jay does beat him, it would be considered an upset. But the way it's kind of been booked, I'd be very surprised if if Jay doesn't win, because they've made mention of the fact that he's lost these three matches that he's had. They've very purposely put those together, I think, to make him the sort of underdog in it as well. So I think, I don't know, it just feels like it will be. The only other way it could go is that they absolutely bury Jay, which I don't think does anything, especially when the crowd is so hot behind his entrance and the yeet stuff. Whether that cools off when he gets back to America the next couple of weeks, we shall see. But I think Gunther's doing what he can to be the heel and just kind of destroying some of the mid to lower card guys and making himself look strong as well. So let's see. There was a couple of comments before about the triple threat match between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. They are due to sign their contract for WrestleMania tonight on SmackDown. We saw a massive brawl last week on SmackDown. I think the fact that Paul Heyman is sort of involved in this between CM Punk and Roman Reigns ties it together a little bit. The one thing I would say, as much as I think could be a great match, I think it's a bit of a tenuous link that they've put together. They could have done a little bit of a better job to kind of have these guys go at it. And it also kind of feels like we don't really know what to do with all three of them. And as we've said previously, pair them off against either one in any combination as a one-on-one match, I'll be a bit more invested. I don't understand the sort of the logistics behind having all three in the same match. And I think they've got a little bit of legwork to do in these last few weeks. So it'd be interesting to see what they do at the contract signing. I just want to see a reason why these three, outside of you eliminating me at the Royal Rumble. Well, that's what I'm supposed to do. I get it between Seth and Roman. I get it between Seth and CM Punk. I'd even get it if it was a Paul Heyman thing between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It's just that dynamic of all three of them together is a bit stunted for me at the moment. So I'd be very interested to see if they can come up with more of a sort of proper explanation as to why these three are going to go at it together and not just pair off. Because it just feels like they didn't know what to do with one of them, so add them in. That being said, these are three of the biggest stars in WWE, and it is a dream match, and I very much expect this will probably be the night one headliner. So I can see that CM Punk finally getting his main event and going on last on the Saturday, and I think they'll have a great match. I just needed a little bit more behind it, especially for WWE when they are kind of going through their this is how we tell stories. Outside of that, there are other matches that are constantly being added. There's some things that are kind of happening where you feel like we're driving towards WrestleMania on that infamous road to WrestleMania. Let's start with the top. We've got SmackDown, of course, on in the background, and we've got Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes having a bit of a sort of back and forward, a tete-a-tete, as they would say, in the ring right now. Lots of crowd interaction from the O2. But elsewhere on SmackDown, we've got the US title match, I believe, is actually going to be happening tonight, which is LA Knight versus Braun Strowman. This feels like it's probably going to end up in a multi-man match where we have Jacob Fatu involved, or maybe Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight is the way that they go. Wouldn't surprise me if they put the belt on Fatu. I think he's done some great stuff since he's been in the company. I don't know if they're surprised at how quickly he's become popular with the crowd. But let's see what happens as we kind of go in these last couple of weeks. I think something big will happen tonight in that match where Jacob will probably, with the rest of the bloodline, get involved. Or do we see a swerve and it's going to be Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa is another possibility. So lots of kind of things happening, but is there a way they can tie these together and finally give LA Knight a big match at WrestleMania? Because I think he's probably, in some respects, still a little bit smarting over what happened at WrestleMania 40 when he was left off the card. Elsewhere, we've got another of the Royal Rumble winners. When we've got Charlotte Flair is going up for the WWE Women's title as well. And she's obviously... This one is, again, is a very strange one for the Royal Rumble winners to have very little heat behind them. I think there's a lot of people who were very underwhelmed by the promo that we had between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair by the sort of backstage interview that they did. It didn't kind of set the world alight for me. The brawl that they had, I thought was pretty decent. Obviously, the fact that Tiffany is willing to kind of take those risks where she, as a gymnast, can kind of do the high flying action and stuff like that. I personally just want to see Tiffany Stratton just put Charlotte in her place, but they need to kind of steer into that because I think a lot of people would be the same. We just need to see Tiffany get a little bit more confidence out of this. And I think maybe that's the reason they've paired her up against Charlotte, is to build up Tiffany moving into the future. It wouldn't be a blemish for her were she to lose to Charlotte Flair, but I also feel like it would be a huge feather in the cap if she did. So for me, I would do that. I'd also maybe have this as the match where Becky Lynch comes out and makes a return. We shall see. But that is a match that is set in stone and will happen at WrestleMania. I don't think it gets anywhere close to opening or closing the show. I think it would be very much sort of buried in the middle of one of the nights. Not necessarily a bad thing. I think the Charlotte is very capable in the ring, and Tiffany Stratton has been proving that she is. So I hope they have a great match. Let's see what the chemistry is like when they finally do lock up. Over on Monday Night Raw on Monday, we are going to see Logan Paul call out AJ Styles, which is something that they advertised a couple of weeks ago, and I think they reversed it almost. AJ ended up coming out first and saying, I want to see Logan Paul. This seems like the way that they're going for WrestleMania. Again, AJ Styles, one of the best ever in the ring from a technical point of view. And Logan Paul has proved more often than not that he can have a fantastic match. I expect that could also be one of those ones where people are a little bit surprised at how good they actually could be in the ring together. Probably similar to when Shane McMahon had his match, and everyone was kind of very confused as to how they managed to have such a good match. But AJ Styles is that good, so let's see. I expect that one will be one that people are talking about if it does get put onto WrestleMania officially. I think that they'll do some pretty great things in the ring as a pair. So that brings us to the tag team division. Over on SmackDown is very much heating up. We've got Pretty Deadly challenging for the title tonight in their home city. I think they're just from just outside, but Pretty Deadly in their home country at least are going up for the titles tonight against the Street Profits. I don't see them changing it. They're taking the belts off Street Profits, but we've got all these kind of different stories going on. Whether we can get a multi-man ladder match or something out of it. It does feel like we could go in that way. Motor City Machine Guns are around the scene. You still got DIY to come back in as well. You've got Garza and Angel will also be kind of going around as well. So I very much, and Legado del Fantasma. So I very much expect at some point for there to be a big brawl either tonight or in the next couple of weeks that we'll see a multi-tag team match for at least the ones over on SmackDown. There's not a lot going on the tag team division, I don't think, really, on Raw. So I think if you're going to have one miss out, it's probably going to be Raw. But let's face it, they do seem to have title matches the night before WrestleMania as well. So maybe it gets moved to that. There are many other things that are going on, but let me know, is there anything outside of the already announced matches that you are excited for, or you kind of wondering why they're doing that? Let me know in the comments. What is it that you're kind of looking forward to or dreading being added to WrestleMania? Because there's a lot happening right now. Let's have a look and see what's going on over on SmackDown. We have got Cody and Randy have been kind of going back and forward a little bit. And right now we are seeing Drew McIntyre is making his way out to the ring. Not dressed in his usual vest and trunks. He is wearing jeans, so it doesn't look like he's quite ready to fight. It does feel like this could end up being some sort of tag team match, though, with Randy and Cody versus Drew and someone. So let's see what happens. I thought there was supposed to be a tag team match going on with Drew versus Damian Priest, which is another match, I guess, that we haven't talked about, but there are a lot of the ones that are kind of like that, like Drew McIntyre. Would he be happy with where he is on the card this year because he's going up against Damian Priest? Is that a WrestleMania-worthy match? They need to build that undercard, and they're two very capable guys. I just don't feel the heat, and that's probably the problem with a lot of the WrestleMania stuff right now. There's far too many matches where they've left it very late in the day to build up and build a lot of heat behind it. I just want a little bit more outside of the sort of main events. It's feeling a little bit cold, and I just want them to push it that a little bit further. Maybe that's because it feels stranger than bouncing around different European countries, and the audience is making it a lot about them as well. Not necessarily a bad thing, but the focus should be on what's happening on the mic, what's happening in the ring. We're seeing a lot of the sort of bigger names aren't actually wrestling, and maybe it's because we're in WrestleMania season and they don't want to get injured, and that's why they're kind of taking them out of these matches. But I would like to see a little bit more in-ring action. If you go back to when we were in, I don't know, the Attitude or the Ruthless Aggression era, week on week, you'd see The Rock and Stone Cold and Triple H and Undertaker actually have matches on your TV shows as well. But these days, it seems to be a lot more verbals or like a little scuffle and then we move on. I think I want to see a little bit more matches going forward in the next few weeks. Let's see if we can kind of get through that. But yeah, we've kind of gone through a lot of the matches that are expected, the ones that have been set, etc. If there's anything else you want me to kind of talk about, let me know in the comments. But right now, Drew McIntyre is getting very irate, talking to Cody and Randy as well, calling Damian Priest the Undertaker, which obviously kind of been bandied around a little bit on social media as well. I'd love to know what you think about the different European crowds, who do you think's been the best so far? Because there's been some very lively ones, and Italy and Brussels is really good. Glasgow, now we're in London as well. The UK normally does show up and show out when it comes to these sort of things. Randy saying that him and Cody were trying to have a moment, and Drew cut out the BS. And Drew saying that all he ever does is tell the truth. Norma says, I'm a big Logan Paul fan. I don't think he has enough momentum to beat Styles, but being on the Mania card is good for anyone's career. Yeah, I think he picked up his win when he tagged with The Miz, didn't he? And then that went south. But I think AJ Styles needs a big win, because how many WrestleManias he's got left? I think his contract's up in the next few years, and he said he won't sign another contract with anyone. He wants to retire. You want to give him a decent WrestleMania win, and if that's against Logan Paul, so be it. But yeah, as much as people say it, I think it's likely that Logan Paul. There's no way Logan Paul walks out with a win against AJ Styles, surely, unless they're kind of going to go with a tilt at Logan Paul eventually moving on for the title. Bit of physicality over on SmackDown, and Drew was going to attack Cody and Randy, but Cody managed to get a shot in. His punch where he sort of falls to his back and punches up like his dad used to. And then Randy went for an RKO, but Drew managed to slip out and slithered out the ring. So maybe we'll get something on later in the night. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton, maybe. But as I said, we've got Pretty Deadly versus Street Profits is being lined up as being there. Pretty Deadly wearing some very fetching Union Jack style gear, where they've got, I don't even know how you explain what they're wearing, because it's the sort of just the arms of a top, so their chests are bared and everything. Lots of events being announced for Las Vegas, and one of the things I noticed that's been mentioned is they are not struggling, but it's a bit slow on the uptake for some of the tickets. Thousands of tickets, if you would be believed, are still on sale heading in, and quite frankly, that's probably because of the pricing. Now, even if they don't sell any more tickets, I'd probably believe that WWE can do their thing of saying it's the highest gate ever, because the tickets have been that expensive. The people who have already picked up their tickets have paid out the nose for them. I expect they're probably going to drop it a little bit in terms of the pricing, but whether it fully sells out will be an interesting one. They keep adding on different events. They've now got these WrestleMania After Dark stuff where they've got comedians or bands or people mixed in with different WWE superstars, charging anywhere from $70 up to sort of $500. I've seen you can do like a table with Liv Morgan or Bron Breakker, etc. Very strange in terms of how many events are being added. I think they've realized that when WrestleMania's in town, all the different promotions around the world tend to flock to the same area. Now WWE's obviously realized that, and they're trying to get people to go to their events if they're going to spend money. There'll be a lot of people who do just solely go to WWE stuff. If you are going, I have nothing against any of these kind of things. Obviously, they're brand new, so I don't know how they would go. I would implore you though, go check out some of the sort of the independent scene and the talent. If you are going across to Vegas and you're watching this, some of the best WrestleManias I've been to have been the ones where I've gone to the different, WrestleCon Super Show or go to Progress or go to like something that you've never really sort of thought about before. But there's normally tickets you can pick up, which are a lot cheaper than WWE. You can enjoy a lot of different wrestling while you're out at WrestleMania. And I know if we do end up going to New Orleans next year, we'll certainly be trying to enjoy some of the independent stuff as well as, obviously the main attraction, which is WrestleMania. I think Mark said it right at the beginning, NXT. NXT is cracking right now. It is, I personally, I'm more invested in NXT than a lot of the main roster stuff right now. The women's division is on fire. The men's stuff is starting to heat up as well. That's looking like it could be Javon Evans versus Obafemi versus Trick Williams as the title match there. And maybe there's a turn for Javon Evans being involved in the I can't remember what they're called, the group that keeps interrupting as well. So Mark put in there, there's been an update that the listed start time on WWE's official website for NXT Stand Deliver is now 9:30 a.m. Originally, it was listed as 11:30. Then it was changed to 10:30. Now it's been changed to 9:30. So probably a little bit of discussions going on between Shawn Michaels and Triple H as to how much time can they have, and what's okay for people to put on. Yeah, really strange. So, but that's the one I'm looking forward to WrestleMania weekend. I'm super excited about watching NXT, especially if it's on at a decent time as well. That's always great because it is West Coast. They'll go early for some of the stuff. At least on this one, they're not kind of hampered by what the light is outside because it's all indoors at Allegiant Stadium. So that'll be really cool. Breaking news on SmackDown: it is going to be Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. So that is going to be happening on SmackDown. If you are watching along on Netflix right now, as Sam said, I can't stand the 3-minute thing because it locks it as well. I noticed if you watch NXT the day after it's been on, you can't skip those 3-minute ad breaks that they have. So you can either try and guess when they come in and skip 3 minutes ahead. But if you get that wrong, it locks it so you can't skip through, which is so hellishly annoying. And then if you're watching it live, it's just literally just slow motion superstars looking at the camera, or like maybe a little bit of like a move or an entrance or something. But they're I'm not a fan. Presumably it's just because they still have these ad breaks on in America, so they need to fill the time somehow. Not a big fan personally, but never mind. I can deal with it. It's like change is always going to happen. Like the change at the beginning of the show, I still don't like the music that they play at the beginning in that 10 count. And I noticed Sam said the same when he was covering SmackDown. But it gives them a reason to tune in right now. What did Mark say here? There's going to be a time where I'm going to go for number 15, but I'm not going to kick you in the balls. I'm going to look you in the eye and tell you I'm coming for this. Randy Orton has his eyes set on a 15th world title. That was the gist of what the Cody versus Randy stuff. And that is still to play out at some point, I'd imagine. Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. It's been teased a couple of times. I'm sure we will we'll see it happen. But back to the John Cena thing. I reckon John Cena might win because we might get a summer of Cena. And maybe it ends very similarly to how, if you go back to Money in the Bank, when CM Punk, and this is something that Sam had said before as well, does John Cena win, jump over into the crowd, blow a kiss, and make and just sort of go about his business? Is that something that we'll see? I guess at this point it's going to be, who does Cody Rhodes have left? Is there exciting matches you can have with John Cena? They're the sort of things that we like. How do we get through the rest of the year? What do people want to see? What do the fans want to see, etc.? So, yeah, Jake's in. Jake Holden has joined us as per usual. Always good to have you in, my friend. He says hello. Cena has to win. I agree with you. As we went through earlier on, I do think it's likely that John Cena will win. And claim the record, and maybe we have a bit of a swerve and Ric Flair helps him or something, and it's all been a swerve. Over on SmackDown, we are seeing Pretty Deadly. I've made their way through the ring, disco ball over the ring, etc. They're wearing those very revealing Union Jack outfits. I say, does anyone know what the top is that it's called? Because it's literally just the sleeves. It's like the opposite of a sleeveless top. It's just sleeves. I don't know if there's a word for it. As you can probably tell, fashion is not my strong suit. I'll stick to wearing a CM Punk t-shirt as I am tonight. And we're going to see the tag team championship match happen over on SmackDown. But I'm going to wrap things up here. So if you are watching along and you're watching on Netflix, I'm going to leave you in peace to watch the rest of the action tonight. Of course, we're going to get that contract signing, and it sounds like we're also getting Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. But let us know in the comments if you are watching this after the fact. Please let me know, what are your excitement levels for WrestleMania? Out of 10, out of 100, whatever you want to kind of say. Let me know. Are you very excited, or are you a bit indifferent to the build that we're currently getting? Do you expect it to get better? All those good questions. We will, of course, be back for the build-up all the way through to WrestleMania. I won't be here next week, but hopefully Sam will be. I will be out in America doing some running, which you can see over on Rollercoaster Running if you want to check out that sort of content. that is my journey, and hopefully inspire some people to get out their front door and go running too. Of course, make sure you subscribe to all the channels: WrestleSphere, Rollercoaster Running, Wrestling Royalty, and Give Me a Hell Yeah. As I say, I'm going to wrap things up here. It's been fantastic to kind of be back. I know last week we didn't. It's very strange, these early SmackDowns, because as fans we want to enjoy them, but at the same time we want to make sure that you guys have a voice that are kind of being able to talk through it. But we also understand that you probably want to watch it because it's on at a decent time. So we kind of get stuck between a bit of a rock and a hard place. But please make sure that you are following along. Dan is going to be back on Monday. He will be going through Monday Night Raw, which again will be in London, as the Road to WrestleMania heats up. It has been fantastic being back. I will be back very soon. Sam or Dan might be back next week to kind of hold the fort while I'm away. Don't miss me too much. And if you do want to see, you can follow me on Instagram as well. Go check out Andy Spores over on Instagram. And I'll be posting some stuff from over in Florida in Disney World as well. So go check out that magical content. But for now, this has been Wrestling Royalty. This has been Gimme a Hell Yeah, and I've been Andy. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Enjoy the rest of WWE SmackDown, and I'll see you real soon.